Shock Monkey Radio is entertainment for adults, by adults, and the views and opinions expressed here do not reflect upon the sponsors or FXBG Public Radio. For additional information, please refer to the United States Bill of Rights. Stand warned. You know, I just found out that Kanye West and I are the same age. It's strange, you know, I always thought he was crazier than me. And, you know, it's interesting finding out that you have, like, things in common with some celebrities and so forth. It kind of makes them human. You know, like, how many people have my birthday? Famous people have my birthday? Not many. Not many. It doesn't really matter. But, I mean, it kind of humanizes them, is that you realize these people come from anywhere. Could come from anywhere. Sometimes they're just crazier than you. What did I say? Older. I thought he was older than me. Anyway. Welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. I look kind of red today. Or is it the mustache making it red? Anyway. Are we on bright white on the lights?
Oh, we're not.
Yeah, that's what it is. He's got to go talk to Google. Anyway, so welcome to Shock Monkey Radio. I'm your host, the Madman. Patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. There we go. Shock Monkey Radio is the cash tag if you want to send me money through Cash App. Follow me on social media at DNALETSAW. On Twitter, that's the word Wasteland spelled backwards on Twitter. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook, and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. I also have books available for digital download. Check the links in the description below. Yeah. Happy birthday, Donald Trump. Today's his birthday. What can I say? Happy birthday. Have a happy birthday, and best of luck, pal. Oh, man. You know, this stuff that's coming up for you, you know, these people have been aching for your blood for like 7 years now. I've been thinking about it. It's about 7 years they've been aching for your blood. As soon as you got elected, people were like, we're going to find something to bring against this guy. And, you know, for 7 years they've been crying for your blood. And I don't know if they're going to stop until they actually get some. So I know, you know, it's best of luck to that. Best of luck to the, you know, elections. And how that's all going to turn out, how all that is now has been intertwined into the election, no matter what. Best of luck, pal. Holy mother of pearl. Anyway, you know, I wanted to say something like not necessarily nice about Trump, but just respect the position he's in and what he's got to deal with, no matter the outcome. Okay, so, yeah, they're not in the way over here. They're just, oh, okay. We're blocking, what's that called? Blocking the shot. Figuring out what's in the shot. Anyway. We're professionals over here at Shock Monkey Radio.
Trying to be.
Trying to be. I don't know what EK is doing. Are you messing with the audio? You're not happy with the audio?
I was cleaning the board this weekend.
Oh, okay.
And I believe I made some changes.
Oh, okay. EK's a perfectionist, especially when it comes to sound. You know, that's why you can go to FXBG Public Radio and help them record your friggin' album. Get it on tape. As I say, they don't even put stuff on tape anymore. Isn't that sad? You know, I think about all those hours people like my age and older, you spent like actually splicing tapes, like cutting tape. Because I did that when I was a kid. Holy cow, it's so much easier today digitally, you know what I mean? There's guys that are alive right now. It's like all those hours I spent. I could have just been born later. Had way more fun with my job. Anyway, I had to get thicker glasses every 3 years because I'm looking at tape. Anyway, let's get into some gossip. You like gossip? I like a little bit of gossip. So, as you may or may not know, I assimilate data all day long. It's just I can't help it. I can't not. And so if you know, like recently, Matt Walsh has been demonetized from YouTube. And then this past week, Candace Owens and Michael Knowles have been suspended for 1 week. So they should be starting up here soon. And also Dr. Jordan Peterson got a strike. And all the suspensions for Candace and Michael Knowles and the strike for Dr. Peterson has been over this transgendering issue. It's like they, you know, would refer to people like Dylan Mulvaney as he. And so that's why they got suspended. And that's why Dr. Peterson got a strike. Okay? The reason, you know, you may be thinking to yourself, gee, Madman, I watch your show every week, and even though I'm not a patron, I watch your show every week. You know, the horrible person I am who isn't a patron, but you also call Dylan Mulvaney he. Yes, I do. I do that. I do that because we need to avoid confusion. That's the whole point of this whole issue. We need to be real about what it is. All right, when you're looking at it, that's a he. But you know what? I don't get suspended. I don't get, censored or anything like that. You know why? Because I have, 135, 136 subscribers or something like that? I'm not influential enough for anyone to care. All right? That's the point Steven Crowder was making when he was always butting up heads with YouTube, is that it's not applied equally. You know, I'm not saying that YouTube should come and suspend me and delete my videos or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that they go after the people who are actually influential, and that's people like Michael Knowles, that's people like Candace Owens, that's people like Dr. Peterson. They go after the most influential because the new format for news and news information is going on places like YouTube and Rumble and Twitter and Facebook. All right, not so much Facebook, but, that's where it's happening. The only boomers watch that old cable news. People are cutting the cable all over the place, and these networks aren't as influential as they once were, and that infuriates them. They're trying to hold on to the marketplace of information that has expanded exponentially, and that's what the issue is. So they're not coming after me because who watches that crazy old madman on that Shock Monkey Radio show? What does it matter to them? I'm no threat. Michael Knowles, Candace Owens are threats. Dr. Peterson is a threat. Matt Walsh, who made the What Is a Woman documentary, they went after him the hardest. I don't know why they're not going after Ben Shapiro. I think they're afraid of the anti-Semitic thing. Maybe.
He's a lawyer.
He's a lawyer, but that's what I mean. He's a lawyer who works at the Daily Wire. So I'm sure their legal team is working on it and so forth. And I know they have. I've seen some tweets from Jeremy Boring about it. And so, I mean, it's, the censorship, they're like, that guy's yelling too loud. The guy with the megaphone, get him first. You know what I mean? And that's what Steven Crowder was talking about when he rejected the offer from Daily Wire, is that Daily Wire wants to play by YouTube's rules, and that's playing their game by their rules. And at some point, it's going to come to a head where they're going to be like, we're drawing a line on this transgender issue, and so Dr. Peterson gets a strike. So Candace Owens and Michael Knowles, they get suspended a week. Matt Walsh, forget it. Matt Walsh is off to Twitter now, which is where everyone else from Daily Wire might be going. I don't know how good Twitter is at dealing with video, and so forth, but maybe that's what's going to have to happen. Maybe one day I'm going to have to go to start uploading these videos to Twitter, uploading them to Rumble or something like that. I don't like Rumble. It's not a very good app. I don't like it. Anyway, so but I may have to get to that point. Not because I'm being censored or anything like that, and because my channel isn't big enough to be censored, to be a worry to these people who will do these things. The reason I would have to go to these platforms is because my the people I want to reach are no longer on this one. You see what I'm saying? YouTube, you got to start easing up on the algorithm. It's ridiculous. Easing up on all this censorship. It's ridiculous. Anyway, that's what you get, Daily Wire. That's what you get, Daily Wire. Hey, EK, you got that picture? Anyway. I wanted EK to get a picture, but I guess he's off making a phone call. His phone rang. I don't know if you heard. You got that picture? Yeah. Okay. Sorry, bud. All right, so I was thinking about Demolition Man. It's a pretty good movie, right? It's a great movie. But do you remember that whole thing about Taco Bell where the guy, he runs into the guy, saves his life, quote unquote, and he says, I would like you to accompany me to Taco Bell. And he did a dramatic, dramatic pause and fine dining. And so, and then what's her name? Sandra Bullock. She gets all excited. It was, woo, Taco Bell. And then she explains to him that all restaurants are Taco Bell. And so then why are you so excited? So can you not go to Taco Bell at the corner? You know, if every restaurant is Taco Bell, is there just one Taco Bell in town? It's the fanciest restaurant in town, the only and fanciest restaurant in town? Get out of here with this. It just doesn't make any sense. But she explained that there was something called a franchise wars. Now, what the hell? How can you just skip so casually over something called the franchise wars to the point where there's only one restaurant left? You know, there's got to be some seriously fierce competition going on in the franchise wars. Now, I started...
Hold on. She wasn't too far off.
How do you mean? What are you talking about? Too far
Taco
off?
Bell owns Pizza Hut and KFC.
Well, yes.
Tacoma Corporation.
Yeah, the PepsiCo. It's like, yeah, PepsiCo. I mean, there's a point. There's a reason why they advertise. It's the biggest food and drink corporation in the world. You know, there's a reason why it's this stupid gag is basically just a Taco Bell commercial. You know, the whole movie in many ways is a Taco Bell commercial, especially when I'm talking about it today. But she talks about this franchise wars and just glosses over how, you know, and what part that played into getting from our society to that society. All right. So imagine a franchise wars where, let's just say, I don't know, Democrats are in power and they're releasing all the criminals all the time. They're never really prosecuting anybody, not really arresting anybody. You know, there's fights in every school. There's fights on every street. There's people shooting at each other all the time. Just crimes out of control. They're very dangerous. People are walking around with guns everywhere. People get shot in supermarkets over cantaloupe. It's craziness. It's cats and dogs living together, mass hysteria, but there's still one thing that is running, one business that is surviving, and that is home delivery. So people still want to get their pizzas, even in all this chaos. So what does Pizza Hut do? What does Domino's do? I guarantee you, DoorDash and Uber Eats drivers, they're out of this. They're out. As soon as bullets start flying, they're like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm staying at home and ordering my food, you know? And so next thing you know, you got all these restaurants specializing in delivery drivers, right? But the delivery vehicles are like super armored vehicles with like a gun turret on top, or maybe even surface-to-surface missiles. And then the whole world becomes like this, you know, twisted metal / Mad Max world where you got like Taco Bell trucks riding around to these 50 cal machine guns.
And nobody ever forgets to tip again.
Yeah, and nobody ever forgets to tip again. That's awesome. So they're shooting at like Domino's pizza trucks. And they're shooting back at each other, you know, and next thing you know, you get a nice steaming cheesy gordita crunch that you wanted. It's still warm because that armored vehicle also has a little oven in it. Part of your food was being cooked and prepared. And some guy's making a taco while he's riding around in the back of the truck. And you get the freshest Taco Bell. And through sheer competition alone and just the deadly accuracy of the Taco Bell 50 cal gunners, Taco Bell made a specific effort to hire the most accurate range qualifiers to be their turret gunners. So they say, we're going to dominate the accuracy with the heavy weapons. Boom. We dominate the market. Next thing you know, it's a peaceful world enforced by the power of Taco Bell's peaceful accuracy. So you end up with this world where everyone walks around in muumuus and says, be well. And they're like, oh, he touched me? Fluid transfers? Ew. Got so bad that you caused a spontaneous Dennis Leary to spawn underneath you in the sewer like some sort of Ninja Turtle. Anyway, so this was a thought that made me laugh this weekend. You ever been just staring at the wall? You know, just sitting there staring at the wall. Does something like this happen in your head? You know, you ever been in a waiting room?
Yeah, and you drift off.
Yeah, been in a waiting room. We'll sit down, we'll call your name. I was like, okay. There's no TV, you know, which is odd in a waiting room. Or the TV is incredibly boring, like HGTV, some of that stuff.
Or advertising medicine.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Yeah, oily stool and can't tell your friends about it. Do you have oily stool and can't tell your friends about it? Well, try Puperon. I'll give you the balls.
I think that's the grossest combination of words that could spot. Oily stool.
Yeah, you have oily stool. Can't tell your friends about
Why
it?
is that where you went?
I don't know. I'm just trying to think of medical sounding words. Do you have oily stool and can't tell your friends? Try Puperon. You'll gain the confidence to tell your friends about you poop in the pants. Like that baseball player. They caught him on tape. They had him like mic'd up. It comes out. He's like, yeah, I shit my pants yesterday.
Mike Down, is that a reference to
Yeah,
Always Sunny?
yeah. No, that's an old
No?
Letterkenny reference. Yeah, they're mic'd out. But anyway, he said, "Yeah, I shit my pants yesterday. I'm good for that like twice a year." The older I get, the funnier that is. I want to talk about, I guess, one more thing. Two more things before I get out of here. I should be happy that the deep state didn't want me. I was in the Navy. I had a top secret clearance and all that. I went to work for an unnamed military contractor. There's lots of them. There's like General Dynamics. There's Lockheed Martin, which was recently in the news out there at a pride parade marching with their rainbow banner and stuff like that. And I was thinking about Cockney Martin. Do you like it? Hey fans, do you like it better when he's got a phone call? Jeez. Sometimes I watch Gavin McInnes and ranting about Ryan, and I'm just, man, I wish I had the guts to say that to some people. If you see his face. Yeah, I know, he's mean to him. Anyway. So, yeah, the deep state didn't want me. I was in the Navy, top secret clearance, went to work for this company, and I got fired from that job, and, at first I was kind of bummed. It was like, oh, dang, that was a lot of money. I had like Silver Age comic books everywhere. I was living a nerd's, and I don't want to say paradise because I was all alone, and that's why it was driving me crazy. But I was bummed about it, but over the years, I feel like I probably made the right decision, because when you're fired the way I was fired, I don't want to get into the specifics of it. It's the kind of thing where they didn't like the kind of message boards I was going to and ranting on. They said, we don't think that this website is something a professional would visit, and the kinds of things that you write on this website are very irrelevant to. It's like, why can't you just leave a comment like everyone else? Comment on the post. Don't drag me into the office. Why can't you be adults about this? It's just a message board post, But I think the fact is that, even back then I was not trustful of the government, not trustful of the people in the government, frustrated with bureaucracy. I was the kind of guy who rocks the boat. I was the kind of guy who challenges authority. They started seeing that in me, and getting fired around the mid-aughts, I think it was like 2006, getting fired around that time, is when a real momentous changes started happening, especially in that kind of world, where these administrators, these HR types started taking over even like the most important intelligence type work, and saying, well, we gotta have inclusivity. We gotta hire this person over that person because of the color of their skin or something like that. Because so we could say it's the first lead of a site that's a Indian female or something like that. A minority, and stuff like that. And so, I mean, the world was starting to go that way, and I was already starting to get spit out away from this insanity that was coming out, because it's like, this guy calls bullshit way too often, because we're trying to get guys in dresses in here and make him tell that dude that he's a girl. All right. Cause that's the end point we're trying to get to. Hopefully that's the end point, and we can get rid of this. But, I used to feel bad about but now I feel like really good is like that. I was very obvious about like what I thought, what I believed, and what I stood up for. That, I said, this guy can't, no, he's not going to be a good fit. He's not going to play ball, as it were. And that's the whole thing with all this transgender stuff and stuff like that, is like, you have to play ball. Even the hatred of Trump, is like, you going to play ball? These people get arrested on January 6th. They get a lighter sentence or something like that. Maybe you going to play ball? You're going to say Trump made you do it? Maybe we'll, take a couple years off or something like that. If you play ball. That was a joke in that Johnny Dangerously thing. I mean, that's the essence of corruption. It's the essence of corruption. I feel like I hit a period in my brain. You ever have that? It's like, I feel like I should stop talking. And yet I continue. It's really weird. I think it's good to be rejected from that society because I don't like where it's gone. The FBI is a joke these days. It was a joke when I was in there. People knew that they were in the pocket of the Democrat Party in the early 2000s. I worked in intelligence. We had intelligent people working for us. Until the idiots who think, oh, we need diversity. You need to call her a him because that's the way he identifies. Before those types of people took over. It used to be intelligent people. So, and the FBI, has been doing some awful things. And I hope to God there's some changes. I'd love for, say, an imaginary for president. I don't say his name's Trump Santis. Some imaginary president gets into office and I'm going to need to create a team to find the moral people still in the FBI, cut out the deadwood and put in some, see if we can get this restructured, redone right. And then there's a whole list of other things that have to be done. I did a video years ago about the king of the world, or what was it? The King has spoken. I forget. I think I posted it recently. Anyway. What I'd do if I were king. Anyway. Let's talk about, briefly, I'll talk about this movie I watched called Grudge Match, 2013. 2013 movie called Grudge Match. It has Sylvester Stallone and, what's his name? Robert De Niro in it. How do you blank on Robert De Niro? Oh, yeah, because he plays a fat old guy. And, It's basically about these two over-the-hill boxers, getting into having a rematch, because there's all sorts of drama. It's like, oh, he banged his girlfriend and had a kid with him. And yeah, there's way too much drama in it for my taste. All right. However, there's lots of old guy jokes. There's lots of fat guy jokes. There's lots of really good old fat guy jokes. Which these guys having Stallone and De Niro toss back insults at each other was actually kind of fun to watch. All right. But otherwise, it's a pretty crappy movie. There's tons of throwbacks. There's one scene, I remember it was in the trailer for the movie, was Sylvester Stallone going into this freezer. He's about to punch this thing of meat and he goes, oh, you don't have to, I was just coming back here to get some meat. You don't have to punch everything, And, there's a couple of, cute little jokes and stuff like that. But it strikes me how it's just basically a Rocky reprise and Raging Bull reprise, or is it reprise? It's been a while since band class. So, it's just, revisiting those two old characters and putting them in a movie together, basically, or archetypes, and putting them in a movie together and calling a comedy, write some old fat man jokes, and which are entertaining, but it kind of shows that Hollywood is really out of ideas. Just remake Disney movies, remaking old Disney movies, cartoon movies in a live action. It's that's the best you got. Where's the originality? It's why you think you found a formula, so you literally repeat the formula over and over again? That's ridiculous. People, they want freshness. Everything, becomes stale over time. Especially if it's presented the same way over and over again. Oh, I'm depressed. It's my show. That's exactly my show. Oh. Anyway, Grudge Match. 6 of 13 stars. It was kind of funny. Anyway, let's get into the news worth knowing before I cry. I called my own show stale. There's people out there, well, I wasn't going to become a patron. But you don't have any self-confidence. Anyway. Democrats dismiss worthless calls to probe Biden-Ukraine rumors but argue Trump indictment is not political. And yeah, I think the headline kind of sums it up. I'll read a couple paragraphs, though. House Democrats this week dismissed allegations President Biden improperly accepted money from a Ukrainian company during the Obama administration, but defended his administration for charging his likely 2024 rival, former President Donald Trump, with crimes. Quote, I've seen a lot of allegations against President Biden by MAGA Republicans, but the truth is they've amounted to nothing. I don't think they have a lot of credibility, but look, they can knock themselves out. Representative Eric Swalwell farted on when asked about said when he asked whether there was an investigation about the Biden allegations. Quote, all I want them to do is pay America's bills. Oh my God, fund the government, keep Ukraine in the fight. What a D-bag this guy is. Holy cow. That's all I care about, the American people. Just pay the bills. Oh my Lord. All right. If they want to waste their time on worthless investigations, they'll have to answer the American people why they chose to do that. But he defended Biden's Justice Department for indicting Trump and allegedly mishandling classified documents in an attempt to obstruct officials' attempts to get them back. He said, I think the former president put the Department of Justice in an impossible position. I think if they wanted the documents back, when it was clear that not only would he not get them back, but he was going to have others lie on his behalf. There was really no alternative, Swalwell said. I think you take the politics out, you'll see you have the top secret documents that protect our troops outside of the protected area. You're referring to the ones in the Biden's garage? You're referring to those? You need to be more specific with your object. Anyway. Republicans in Congress have seized an FBI document they say shows Biden took $5 million from Burisma, the Ukrainian energy company that gave his son Hunter a seat on his board when he was vice president. Whistleblowers also allegedly come forward to congressional Republicans claiming audio recordings exist of Burisma executive bribing Biden. Yep. So I think that covers, pretty much everything. Sometimes they want to put everything, in an article. Anyway, so written by a woman. And women have bad editing skills. I think every paragraph they write is awesome. I can't delete that. Anyway, so that's the point. I think it's like the biased nature of the Justice Department is obvious. Our government has been weaponized. The media has been weaponized for a long time, and now it's actually it's a monster that's attacking people. All right. We need to put a stop to this. All right. This is redonkulous. This Trump thing, you can pursue it all you want, but I think there is a important thing to be said about how the FBI and the Justice Department have been looking the other way when it came to Hillary Clinton, when it comes to Joe Biden, when it comes to the Obamas. So, I mean, the bias is so obvious. It's like, if you don't know, if you don't know how biased it is, it's like, you're obviously not reading enough. Anyway. How can they're going after him like they've said they're going to go after him. For 7 years, they've been trying to go after him. Anyway, let's get a little bit more, global in scope here. Belarus president says Russia now sending over nuclear weapons amid Ukrainian counteroffensive. Oh my Lord! So Russia has begun delivering nuclear weapons to Belarus, including some that are supposedly 3 times as powerful as those detonated over Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Belarusian President Alexander Lukashenko announced on Wednesday. The tactical nuclear warheads are the first Russia has moved since its invasion of Ukraine last year. So it's the first time they've moved the nukes. Okay, they're nukes. Weapons arrival comes 1 week after Ukrainian forces began a large-scale counteroffensive against Russia. Lukashenko argues the weapons will only serve as a deterrent. We have missiles and bombs that we received from Russia, Lukashenko told Russian and Belarusian state media. The bombs are 3 times more powerful than those dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. We have always been a target, Lukashenko said. Western countries have wanted to tear us into pieces since 2020. No one has so far fought against a nuclear country, a country that has nuclear weapons. Tactical nuclear weapons, which are intended to destroy enemy troops, is that what they're used for? And weapons on the battlefield, have relatively short range and lower yield than nuclear warheads fitted to intercontinental ballistic missiles, capable of obliterating whole cities. So they're smaller yield. All right. Belarus shares a border with 3 NATO countries, Lithuania, Latvia, and Poland, and sided solidly with Russia. All right. In the conflict over the Ukraine, Lukashenko has allowed Russian forces to travel through Belarus and effectively encompass Ukraine, though he has yet to deploy troops of his own in the conflict. Quote, God forbid I have to make a decision to use those weapons today. Today? What? Why today? But there would be no hesitation if we face aggression. So be nice to Belarus today, I guess, Lukashenko said of the nuclear weapons on Wednesday. He is 68. He remained an opponent of the West since a divisive re-election in 2020, in which his opposition made allegations of fraud. Widespread protests followed, and he blamed Western countries for fomenting the unrest. Lukashenko served as leader of Belarus since 1994. So, yeah. How much do you have to trust a friend to loan nuclear weapons to him? You know, you'd have to know they're like really in your pocket, wouldn't you? So I think that's just a sign that Putin thinks is like, Lukashenko is my bitch. He's not going to do anything. You wouldn't dare. You wouldn't dare do anything I don't tell you to do. Anyway, let's go on to this next story. Might be a short one today. Okay. Jake Tapper scolds CNN producers for showing Trump with the Miami supporters. That is enough of that, quote. Jake Tapper is on CNN, just so you know. Jake Tapper rebuked his CNN producers for continuing to show footage of former President Trump celebrating with his supporters after he pleaded not guilty to federal charges in a nearby courtroom on Tuesday. Trump stopped at the Versailles restaurant in Miami, where he was greeted by religious leaders and supporters who prayed with him and sang happy birthday to him in the honor of his birthday today. CNN aired the scene, and longtime anchor Tapper told viewers, quote, and as we watch Donald Trump attempt to turn his arrest and indictment into some sort of campaign commercial, we need to remember that the reason that we are watching this is because Donald Trump is accused of breaking some very serious national security laws and then obstructing and refusing to cooperate with the FBI. When the footage continued playing on the screen, Tapper appeared angry about the network showing Trump under his recent court hearing, turning his recent court hearing into a spectacle. Quote, the folks in the control room, I don't need to see any more of that. He's trying to turn this into a spectacle, a campaign ad. That's enough of that, Tapper said. The footage of Trump inside the cafe came shortly after he was booked and pleaded not guilty to 37 felony charges related to the alleged mishandling of classified documents at his Mar-a-Lago estate. MSNBC's Nicole Wallace made a similar remark to cut away from the footage of Trump during her coverage on Deadline White House. Quote, I want to explain that the picture on our screen, Trump has gone to a famous place that all Republican candidates, probably Democrat candidates, go as well. It's Versailles. It's in Little Havana in the Miami area. He's still a candidate for president. That's the picture over your brilliant words. That's the picture over your brilliant words. We don't need to see that anymore. We know where he is. Wallace, we know where he is. This marked the first time the former U.S. president faced federal criminal charges despite proceedings. Trump remains the current frontrunner in the turn this off. This is making him look popular. It makes it look like there's actually people out there who like him. We don't need to see that. That makes him look good. It's kind of like that debate, that town hall he did, where he came out there and was like, "You're a nasty person." They gave him that time, and she's still like, "You're a nasty person." And she was going to be a nasty, and so it was playing for longer. But they ended up cutting that short because it was making him look too good. It was like, holy cow, this guy can put a sentence together by himself, you know? unlike some other politicians we know in offices. All right. We're going to ramp up into some happier stories before we get out of here. All right, so Florida reporter who stiff-armed Stanley Cup fan says she's received hate messages. All right, so CBS Miami reporter Samantha Rivera went viral during the Stanley Cup playoffs last week when she stiff-armed an overzealous fan who was trying to get into her shot while she was live. Rivera, at the time, who was discussing the Vegas Golden Knights Game 2 win over the Florida Panthers. Vegas would eventually go on to win the Stanley Cup in 5 games, in case you care. She was lauded for her ability to keep the fan out of the way of the camera while she continued to do her report. That's true. She looks like a small lady. She's like, kept him completely out of the shot. Well done, lady. Well done. What's funny is that, the fan probably spent the entire game drinking. And she probably spent the entire game watching the game, making notes about stuff that happened, and then like constructing a after game report depending upon a win or a loss. And so she's like, I've been practicing, I've been rehearsing this, and this drunk fan comes around. She's like, stiff arms him. It just proves that, if you're a 100-pound girl and there's a 200-pound guy who's drunk and you're sober, there's a good possibility you could win the fight. Anyway, so Rivera at the time was discussing the win. It went on 5 games. Okay. But Rivera revealed the dark side of the viral moment, the hate messages. Quote, I've been getting an influx of hate messages / comments these past couple days, and to those people, I'd like to ask if maybe now's a good time for you to move out of your mom's basement. Stay blessed. Stay blessed. You remember that SNL skit where it was William Shatner at a Star Trek convention, and he's like, get out, move out of your parents' basements. Go find a girlfriend. Kiss a girl. Do something else. It's just a show I did. Well, I love her sense of humor for it. ESPN Las Vegas Willie Ramirez tweeted his support for Rivera. After spent 15 minutes catching up with Rivera, and to hear that she has been receiving death threats is straight criminal. Take what you want out of context, but if you threaten someone's life over a tweet that came immediately after an emotional situation is ridiculous. On Sunday, Rivera spoke more about the moment. Sirius XM, blah 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 blah. All right, what did she say? It's honestly been overwhelming. I truly did not think it would receive this kind of response, and it's interesting too because I was kind of nervous to post it because I didn't know how the world was going to react to it. She added that she thought that she needed to remind people to kind of let us do our job and let us do what we need to do. Yeah. Let's face it, some drunk hockey fan, I don't know if you've been to a hockey game, thinks he's going to crash her carefully crafted report, He's like, no, my time, my camera time. I've been practicing all night. I've been building up to this. Get to cover the Stanley Cup win. You're not hogging my spotlight. It's always funny. Like, I do like stuff happening in the background of like a news report. I do love those clips where some guy's riding a bike and he like crashes into a tree or something in the distant background in a news report. I love that kind of stuff. But those people who jump in front of a news camera and like flash, do stupid stuff. That's amateurish. That's amateurish. Or if you see like some guy who's walking in the distance, and then he'll do like a cartwheel or something crazy because he spotted the camera in the distance, that's different. If you're like way in the background, I understand. But jumping like right next to the reporter, sticking your finger in their ear, giving him a wet willy or whatever, that's 9-year-old stuff. Come on, grow up and do your immature stuff like a man. Anyway, but you should check out that video. It's a good stiff arm that lady did. All right. Well, we'll get them all to the bank one day, I suppose. California family finds 1 million copper pennies in an old home. Find a penny, pick it up. Find 1 million more. What are you supposed to do with them all? Let me explain to you what a bank is. All right, so that's an awful opening sentence. Who wrote this? Chris Pandolfo. They all wanted to be novelists. You know that, right? Every single journalist wanted to be a novelist. Anyway, it's like if you go to like a pharmacist and ask a pharmacist, like how many med school classes do you have to flunk out of to get at this job? You know, it's kind of like being a journalist. It's like, how many books didn't sell? Didn't you sell before you got this job? Anyway, so let's read the article now. That is a conundrum facing John Reyes, a realtor from Southern California. While helping his wife clean out her father's Los Angeles home, the family found more than 1 million copper pennies stowed away in a cramped crawl space. The pennies were stashed in dozens of bank bags and are worth anywhere from $10,000 at face value to potentially much more, according to KTLA News. The family believes that the 1900s era home, once owned by John's father-in-law, Fritz, was used as a bed and breakfast. Fritz and his brother, both immigrants from Germany, had lived in the home for decades until Fritz passed and his brother moved away. Since then, the family has been working to clean out the house and renovate it for modern use. But that's proved to be a difficult task. They kept everything. Oh, they're hoarders, huh? Reyes told KTLA, adding that it takes several years to remove items of various levels of importance. So now we're at the pennies stage. So you already did the quarters, the bags of quarters. You already took care of that. Now you're at the pennies. I don't know. I guess there's probably going to be more pennies. So I guess the pennies are first, maybe then quarters, and then dimes and nickels. Okay. They got a system. Anyway, that's what they're saying. They got a system. All right. First, they found loose pennies, once held in paper rolls and long since disintegrated. Behind the pennies were crates, boxes, and dozens of coin bags filled with the unknown amounts of copper pennies from decades ago. Some of the banks don't even... What? Some of the banks don't even exist anymore. What? Family grabbed a handful of pennies, had them tested, confirmed they were made of copper. Modern pennies are made of copper-plated zinc, and the U.S. Mint began making zinc-coated steel pennies in 1943 because copper was needed for World War II. Since 1982, pennies have been made primarily of zinc. Based upon the weight of the bags, family estimated they found about 1 million pennies, just on the weight of the bags. But cashing in on that value has proven difficult. Reyes told KTLA that he initially wanted to make the pennies take the pennies to Coinstar. Why? Why would you take that many pennies to Coinstar? Just for the convenience? 8%? That's what it says. They had an 8% fee. So he started to contact banks, told there are far too many coins for their vaults to handle. Besides, there are dozens of coin bags. Yeah, that might have rare coins. You'd have to go through all of them. Yes. Worth millions by themselves. Yes. You'd have to go through them all. And I guarantee you're going to find some rare ones in there. And statistically, in that many coins, you're going to find some valuable coins. Anyway, you see all these stories of people finding pennies worth $2 million, Reyes said. Getting the coins out of the house, it will be its own ordeal, literally bag by bag. We had to take them out of the basement, up the stairs, and into the trucks, and it took hours. It would take a whole day just to get them out of the crawl space. Yeah, it'd be like a full-time job at least for like 6 months just to sort all this. Family loaded the bank bags into 2 trucks, which were so heavy the truck suspensions were visibly stressed, forcing them to drive slow lane in Los Angeles, back to Reyes' home in Ontario. Oh, my Lord. From Los Angeles to Ontario? Now, after months of trying to sort through all the pennies, the family wants someone else to deal with them. Maybe you should go to Coinstar. Convenience factor, I suppose. They put a hoard up on sale, offer up, and popular resale app and then website, and then asking price of $25,000. The value is in the uniqueness, Reyes said, though the family has received piecemeal offers. No one has yet to buy the full stash. Potential buyers beware. You're responsible for picking them up. It's heavy. Some people like have a coin dish or something like that. They'll come in and they'll put their coins in the coin dish, And then they're like, oh, the coin dish is filling up. And so you're like, oh, okay, I'll pull out all the quarters. I'll roll up all the quarters first, Then maybe, you have a lean week or something like that. Then you pull out the nickels and dimes and stuff like that. But then you're left over with the pennies. And you're just like, I got a bunch of these old bank bags just laying around. And so you just dump the pennies in there. And over the course of your entire life, you've always done that. Or you and your brother, which is apparently who owned this house, this bed and breakfast, that they're running in the house. So we're just save all the pennies. And that's going to be like our savings account. And then next thing you know, your brother dies and then you move away and You forgot all about the pennies. You got over $1 million pennies sitting in your crawl space for your rainy day fund. After a lifetime, 2 lifetimes of saving pennies. Because, I mean, that's the only thing that this could really become from, you know. And somebody robbed a bank and, he knows a bunch of other people who rob banks and they're like, we don't want the pennies. You can have the pennies, And he's the guy that all these people who rob banks, they hang out in this house. It's like, yeah, we just took a lot of money from this bank. Well, we got all these coins. We'll take the quarters and the dimes and the nickels, but we don't want the pennies. It's just too damn heavy. You know what I mean? Anyway, as a person who collects things, I know that there's a fine line between a collector and hoarder. It's so, I mean, I think that's what the issue is here is that, somebody was hoarding them, saving them for a rainy day and never cashed them in. And that's what's funny is that, you'll develop these habits for that rainy day and then your life will come and go. You'll be in the dirt and you're just like, oh, forgot about those damn pennies. There's a lot of pennies up there. And imagine taking them to Coinstar, like just dumping them into... You got to take that ticket up to the... you'd probably get to a point where it's full. You got to go to another Food Lion. What do they got in there in L.A.? Ralph's or whatever. Anyway, let's get into this last story, then get out of here. What do you say? That's just... All right. What's this? Pigs run loose on St. Paul area highway after a semi-trailer crash. Were they protesting the crash? Were they blue-haired pigs? Pigs ran loose onto a metro highway after a semi-trailer truck that was carrying 50 hogs. Oh, actual hogs, pigs. Okay. It overturned, causing an hours-long shutdown Friday morning in Minnesota on Interstate 694. State troopers tried to corral several loose pigs that cameras showed running through the traffic, the Star Tribune reported. Jeez. Tell me that's exactly what they signed up for. I can't wait for the day I'm chasing pigs around the highway. People honking at me. What's taking so long? Because the truck tipped over at about 7:35 a.m. Caused morning rush hour traffic to back up for more than a mile, the Minnesota Department of Transportation camera showed. The truck driver was not hurt, according to, that's good, said Lieutenant Gordon Shank. That's a good name for me. If you're a cop, if your name's Gordon Shank, you become a cop, right? Anyway, with the Minnesota State Patrol. 10 pigs died in the crash. That's too bad. It's a lot of bacon. Authorities rounded up the pigs, some of which were injured. Investigators are looking into what caused the semi to tip on its side as it navigated the turn on I-694, where it joins northbound Interstate 35 East. Nearly 5 years ago, more than 20 pigs spilled onto the roads in a more rural part of the state after a semi-truck overturned on the highway interchange near Mankato. Mankato? Forgive me. It's been a while. I don't think I've ever been to the St. Paul area. About 90 pigs have been in a livestock trailer, and some of them died. Drivers suffered minor injuries. And last year, on a Pennsylvania highway, several monkeys escaped when the truck was towing a trailer. 100 monkeys collided with a dump truck. Truck had been on its way to the lab. Drivers weren't harmed. It's funny because a cop would be like, this guy's chasing down the hogs. They'd be like, well, at least they're not monkeys. And you're like, what are you talking about? It's still a pain in the ass to chase down all these pigs. And this other state trooper was like, yeah, well, a few years ago, I was in Pennsylvania and this truck full of monkeys. It's like, oh my God. Yeah, we had like tranquilizers and darts and marksmen down. They're climbing trees. They're throwing stuff at us. It was a nightmare. These pigs, you could just like try to guide them in a direction. Stick a carrot in front of them. Anyway, this is going to be the end of the show. And a bunch of pigs in the street. No, it's not another protest. End of the show. It's been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the host, The Madman. I want to remind you again that I have a Patreon. Go to patreon.com/shockmonkeyradio. Become a patron. Shock Monkey Radio is the cash tag if you want to send me money through Cash App. Follow me on social media at Danalitsaw, DNALETSAW on Twitter. That's the word wasteland spelled backwards. Shock Monkey Radio Redux on Facebook and at SLRobbins13 on Instagram. You can also buy my books. They're available for digital download. Search on Amazon for Scott L. Robbins with 2 T's and 2 B's. Or you can follow the links down in the description below. This has been Shock Monkey Radio. I'm the Madman, and I love you.